I'm definitely someone who's a little bit bossy, a little bit opinionated. I like to get things done. I'm a little impatient. All of those things are true. But I think when I was younger, and especially when you are in that phase in like your 20s where you don't know what you don't know, it's really easy to look at somebody who has made a mistake, especially in a leadership role, and just say, well, I could do better, or that's sort of ridiculous, right? And not really give them any grace. And when you are thinking about literally every single facet of your own business, and then also several facets of a roster of clients and their businesses, it's a lot. It can be incredibly overwhelming. And different problems are going to come up, different ways to solve them are going to apply to different business models or different industries. It's really not one size fits all. And that has really, really pushed me to empathize a lot more with anyone who's trying to build anything. It is really hard. It's really easy to get in your own head. It's a roller coaster of emotions. Any insecurity that you have will be brought to the surface by attempting entrepreneurship. And you have to be prepared to deal with those things and do the hard work of growing, acknowledging your flaws or your insecurities, and finding ways to be better every single day.
Absolutely. Tackling them head on, right? And that's, it's funny because when you said that you're bossy, I could be if you talk to foreign, and this maybe is cut, right? But I've been told like when I'm bossy, I am like not fun, like not friendly, not fun. And it's like it's my face, it's my voice to an extent,
Yes.
right? My point here is sort of like to people who maybe are self-conscious, right, of their voice, their appearance, how can they control that or just totally toss it out the window?
I there's I think there's a sweet spot. So, I remember years ago working with a colleague who is extremely poised, extremely professional. We were still in-house, and we had a conversation specifically about this bossy conversation. So, I was at a company for 5 years, and I got promoted every single year. And every year in my annual review, the feedback they gave me was that I was bossy. But then they kept making me the boss. And I finally said something to a friend, and I said, it's so funny because they keep criticizing this, but this also seems to be something that makes me successful. And he said, are you succeeding because of it or in spite of it?
Oh, that's interesting.
And that really, really stuck with me. And so I think it's important to acknowledge not just who we are and our intentions, but also how people receive us. Because those are two different things. And we can show up with the best of intentions, and somebody can still perceive us as rude or abrasive or pompous or whatever adjective you want to use there. It's not a positive experience for them. And so communication is about being effective and clear with each other. And if we're not able to do that, that is something that we need to work on in ourselves and to understand that, right? So that's a piece where I have really tried to refine my communication and make sure that, yes, I'm going to show up and I'm going to have a lot of ideas and thoughts, but I'm also hearing somebody out and trying to understand their perspective and, finding ways where we can meet in the middle. Again, that empathy piece is really important. Now, that being said, I also think we need to show up as who we are. So anyone who follows me on LinkedIn knows I am not your average person showing up on LinkedIn, right? I'm probably going to weave in a curse word. I'm going to be a little quirky. I'm going to be a little spicy. That's my personality. And try as I did so hard in my 20s. I'm never going to be the most poised, polished person in the room. That's not who I am. And it's awkward for me, and I think awkward for other people when I try to do that. And so I think the one thing that's really helped me with my brand online is when I started my own business, I didn't have to worry about, my boss or an organization or aligning with how they talk online. I could just show up as me. And leaning into that piece, I discovered makes my people, more attracted to having conversations with me, right? I'm finding the right people. I'm finding people who enjoy those conversations, who enjoy the transparency, who want to show up a little different online. And what I'm doing as a byproduct of that is also deterring somebody who just wants to do very generic B2B jargon content, which is not something that I want to do, right? But I do think there's a sweet spot there. Like, there needs to be a level of self-awareness that is combined with that level of self-acceptance if we're going to be successful.
So well put.